welcome to Waza Matrix. Today we're doing our history exam guide. My name is Looney and I will be assisting you to get all of your questions through to us. All you need to do is follow us on social media, Waza Matrix, and hit us up on our WhatsApp line. There's tons of competitions and fun stuff, so do stay tuned for some more details. I'm never alone. With me are Mamsi and our sign language interpreter, Keta. Over to you guys.
Welcome, grade 12 learners. As Looney has already said, we are focusing on history today. We are giving you an exam guide to help you succeed in your history exam. I hope you will enjoy this. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at what your history paper 1 exam is going to look like. I hope you have all studied and you know the content very, very well, okay? But this is just to add to the content that you already know. Now, let's look at what your paper 1 history exam is going to look like. So, first of all, your paper is out of 150 marks and it's 3 hours long. Now, that is very, very important. Later on, I'm going to show you the different sections that are contained in this exam or in this paper. So it's very, very important for you to see how you can divide the 3 hours that you have. And remember, on top of that, you have the reading time as well. So it's very important to use all that time wisely. So 150 marks for 3 hours. And as you can see, there are 2 sections. There is section A and section B. Now let's move on to section A. Section A of your history paper consists of 3 source-based questions. That means it's source analysis questions. So there will be source material that is required to answer these questions that can be found in the addendum. That is the source booklet that will come with the question paper. So you will have a question paper and then you will have the source booklet. And then if we move on, if we look at the division or the breakdown of section A, it consists of question 1, which is the Cold War, containment and brinkmanship, the Cuban Missile Crisis. And then there is question 2, which is independent Africa. The case study is Angola. Question 3 is civil society protests from the 1950s to the 1970s, the Black Power movement. Now, guys, it's very, very important. As you can see, all these themes and topics are based on your CAPS curriculum. And it's very important to know what is examined in which paper, because you don't want to walk into the exam room having studied something that is not in the correct paper. Okay, don't go there thinking you're going to write the content that will be in history paper 2. Remember, this is paper 1. So when you're studying the content, focus on the paper 1 content. Okay, so that is your section A. Now let's move on. Section B consists of 3 essay questions. So as I did with section A, I'm going to show you the different topics that are contained in section B. That is your essay topics. So if you look at section B, question 4, the case study is China. Question 5, it is independent Africa. So there is a comparative case study there of the Congo and Tanzania. And then question 6 is civil society protests from the 1950s to the 1970s, the civil rights movement. So again, guys, as you can see, this is very, very important because remember I told you that for section A, which is a source-based section, you'll find the civil society protests, but the focus there is the Black Power movement. And then for section B, which is the essay section, the same topic, civil society protests, the focus there is the civil rights movement. So when you are studying and preparing for your exams, you should know what to expect. Okay, let's move on to the choices. Now, it's very, very important to read instructions carefully when you get into your exam. Because if you don't read instructions and you don't do what you are told to do, that will cost you marks, and you don't want to lose valuable marks. Now, let's look at the instructions that are found in your exam paper. You have to answer 3 questions. 1 must be a source-based question. 1 must be an essay question. So you can't walk into an exam thinking, I don't like essay writing, or I find it very difficult, therefore I'm only going to focus on source-based questions. No, you are expected to write at least 1 source-based question and then 1 essay. And then for the 3rd question, because remember earlier I told you that you have to answer 3 questions in this paper. That is why it is 3 hours long. So 1 can be a source-based question, the other one can be an essay question, and then when it comes to your 3rd choice, the 3rd question may be either a source-based question or an essay question. So there, it's up to you. If you feel that you're not very strong in essay writing, then maybe you can choose the source-based. But whatever choice you make, remember that there are different topics that you can choose from. Please make sure that you choose a topic that you know very well, a topic that you've studied. Don't go into the exam and read the different questions and think this one question sounds better than the one I've studied, therefore I'm going to choose that one. It doesn't work. Always choose the question that you know you can answer. That will be the content that you will have studied. Okay, now let's move on. Time management is very, very important. I've already told you that this paper is 3 hours long, so the suggestion is that you spend at least 1 hour per question. And you have to use your reading time very well. If you already know which topics you're going to answer, there is no need for you to go and read the entire paper. You need to go straight to those choices that you will have already made. I've already shown you what the topics are, so you know what they are. You don't need to read the entire paper. You can only do that if you're still undecided. And then you use the reading time to read the sources, because we know that there is a lot of reading in history, and those source questions tend to have very, very long sources sometimes. So you need to spend your reading time reading through those sources so that you understand them very well. And remember, you cannot answer a question very well if you've only read the source once. You will have to read it again when you've seen the questions. Okay. And then another important thing is to look at the mark allocation for individual questions. Okay. The mark allocation guides the type of answer you are likely to give. Because obviously, if the mark allocation is 1 or 2 marks, you know how much you need to write. That's different from a question that is worth 6 marks. Then you know that you will have to write more for that question. So, as I said before, guys, it's very important to read the instructions to see exactly what you're expected to do, but you also need to look at the mark allocation because those two go hand in hand. That is very important. Don't forget that. Okay. When answering questions, you should apply your knowledge, skills, and insight. You cannot just walk into a history exam not having studied. I know there's this misconception that you don't have to study for a source-based paper. You do have to study for it because you have to understand those sources in context. And also, there will be questions that require you to use your own knowledge. So not all questions are comprehension questions. Okay, so don't forget, study hard and you will be fine. Okay, so you apply your knowledge, skills, and insight. You will be disadvantaged by merely rewriting the sources as answers. So in other words, don't just repeat the sources. So remember, they are already there in your paper. So what you need to do when you're answering is you need to show that you understand them. You need to show that you can analyze and evaluate them. Okay, we will come back to those instruction words later on. But it's very, very important that you understand that reading sources does not only require you to rewrite the information. It's deeper than that. Okay. So I hope that helps you understand the structure of your paper and the different topics that are contained in your paper. Okay, after the break, we are going to look at the examples of some of the questions that you're likely to get in an exam so that you know exactly how to study for them. Over to you, Luni.
Thank you so much, Mamsi. I hope our matrix are taking in all the information and preparing themselves for the exam. Guys, we are going to take a very short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.